Hello and welcome to Advent Adventures. Today is Monday, December 23rd. It is the fourth week of Advent, a very short fourth week because a couple days before Christmas here. Hope your Advent Adventure is going well. I hope that you have taken it seriously and have just moved closer to God because ultimately that's why Father Dave and I do these, and this is what this is all about, just to help us together journey closer to God during this Advent season. The gospel today comes from the first chapter of Luke, and it reads, "Immediately his mouth was opened, his tongue freed, and he spoke blessing to God." This comes from that first chapter where Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist, meets up with the angel Gabriel. And of course, what happens is that, Gabriel comes to him and says, your wife, who is older in age, is going to have a son. And, he is going to be the one that is going to announce the coming of the Messiah. And, Zechariah at that moment was kind of in disbelief. And what happened to him is that the angel Gabriel struck him mute. So for the next 9 months, he wasn't able to speak. People wondered, what was going on. Sometimes, we might look at this and think that this is a punishment of God, but it really wasn't a punishment. And I don't think we should ever look at, this as a punishment, or even things in our life sometimes that, we think God does to us, as a punishment. But it's more important to look at it as a moment of grace, a moment of grace. When he was struck mute, it gave him time, really, the next 9 months, to truly think about what was happening in his life, what was happening in his wife's life, what this child that was coming into their lives was all about, and what that child was going to do in announcing the coming of the Messiah. It gave him time to really reflect and think about what was going on at that moment. I think I like to look at this too as a time for us that sometimes we get frustrated, or we think that God slows us down by something happening in our life, and we look at it as maybe a punishment, but it's not. And I hope in some way it's looked at as a moment of grace. I can tell you back in the late 1990s, I had a moment of grace, and that moment of grace was I was, on the journey, to becoming ordained a permanent deacon. And I had a young family back then, and I remember being called into the diaconate office, and they told me that they wanted me to pause my formation, because I had such a young family. I wasn't too happy about that. In fact, I was quite angry. I remember leaving that office that day and just frustrated, and just was thinking, I'm never coming back to this. Forget being a deacon. And, it gave me a lot of time to reflect. And it wasn't, it was all that summer and several months after that. It was about 6 or 7 months later, the director of the Office of Deacons contacted me and said they'd like to have me back into the program to start my formation up again. And I willingly did accept and that, but as I look back, during that 6 or 7 months, it made me ask the question, am I doing this for me? Am I doing this because it's what Ron wants? Or am I doing this because I feel God wants this in my life? And it made me step back and really think about the selfish kind of attitude that I had, about pursuing that. And I just kind of put it in his hands eventually and just said, whatever your will, God, whatever your will. And eventually it happened, and here I am today. Like I said, I think we get moments of grace. So I hope in some way today you reflect upon this moment with Zechariah. Don't look at it as a punishment, but look at it as a moment of grace. It gives us time to reflect, because we need that. Because if not, I think we try to become bigger than God. It can't be that way. It can't be that way. It is Mary's words, it is Jesus' words. Let your will be done. Let your will be done. That's what a moment of grace does in our lives. Continue your Advent adventure.